This time around, FiFine has taken a very simplistic approach with the K690. Pictured is everything that's included in the box. You of course get the microphone, which comes with an angle adjusting stand. You get an almost 10-foot long mini USB cable, and a male 3/8 inch to female 5/8 inch adapter. It's almost hard not to compare this mic to the old classic Blue Yeti. They both share identical layouts and features. On the front, you have each company's branding, along with a mute LED, mute button, and headphone volume knob. On the back of each, you'll find a pattern changing knob and a microphone volume or gain knob. On the underside, you'll find a mini female USB jack and a 3.5mm headphone jack. Where they start to differ is in thread size. The K690 has a female 3/8 inch socket, while the Yeti has a 5/8 inch socket. This is how you would mount the mic to a boom arm if you did not want to use the included stands. The other major difference is of course in size. Both the microphone and stand on the FiFine side are much more compact, which personally I prefer. It makes sense that FiFine would copy the layout of the Yeti. It is after all one of the best, if not the best selling USB microphones ever. But can the K690 match the great sound quality that has made the Yeti so popular, and for less? That seems like a tall order. Before we put these two head to head in a sound test, I want to go over the features real quick because there are a few. As I mentioned before, the FiFine K690 and Blue Yeti share identical layouts and features. There's a headphone jack on the bottom for delay-free monitoring, and there's also a pattern changing knob on the back that allows you to select from 4 different recording patterns. I imagine the majority of people are going to use the cardioid recording pattern. Both included manuals break down each pattern telling you what they'd be best for. For simplicity's sake, I like the diagram on the box of the Blue Yeti. Now, onto what really matters, sound quality. So everything up until this point has actually been recorded on the FiFine K690, so you should have ample sound samples to see if you like its signature. But in my experience, it's much easier to find fault with something when it's compared directly to a competitor. For this sound test, I'm going to read the same paragraph back on each microphone. A couple things to note. Each mic was angled about 9 inches away from my mouth, and I was using the cardioid pattern on both. Since the Yeti is a couple inches taller, I had the K690 sit on top of a book so their heights were equal and so that I was speaking at the optimal angle. Headphones are recommended for this comparison. One must learn to love. This is what happens to us in music. One must learn to love. This is what happens to us in music. First, one has to learn to hear a figure and melody at all, to detect and distinguish it, to isolate it and delimit it as a separate life. First, one has to learn to hear a figure and melody at all, to detect and distinguish it, to isolate it and delimit it as a separate life. Then it requires some exertion and goodwill to tolerate it in spite of its strangeness, to be patient with its appearance and expression, and kind-hearted about its oddity. Then it requires some exertion and goodwill to tolerate it in spite of its strangeness, to be patient with its appearance and expression, and kind-hearted about its oddity. Finally, there comes a moment when we are used to it, when we wait for it, when we sense that we should miss it if it were missing. And now it continues to compel and enchant us relentlessly until we have become its humble and enraptured lovers who desire nothing better from the world than it and only it. Finally, there comes a moment when we are used to it, when we wait for it, when we sense that we should miss it if it were missing. And now it continues to compel and enchant us relentlessly until we have become its humble and enraptured lovers who desire nothing better from the world than it and only it. But that is what happens to us not only in music. That is how we have learned to love all things that we now love. In the end, we are always rewarded for our goodwill, our patience, fair-mindedness, and gentleness with what is strange. In the end, we are always rewarded for our goodwill, our patience, fair-mindedness, and gentleness with what is strange. Gradually, it sheds its veil and turns out to be a new and indescribable beauty. That is its thanks for our hospitality. Even those who love themselves will have learned it in this way, for there is no other way. Even those who love themselves will have learned it in this way, for there is no other way. Love, too, has to be learned. Love, too, has to be learned. Before I give my opinion, I'm always curious to hear what you guys think. Which one sounded better to you? This was another close call, but I think I have to give the edge to the Yeti. Its warmer reproduction sounds more natural to my ear. It's also a bit clearer. I think this is possibly a reflection of the fact that I had to have the gain much higher on the FiFine mic to match the volume of the Blue mic. This is not to say that the K690 is bad. It's certainly not. The Yeti is just better. And this is reflective in their MSRPs. The K690 retails for $100 US and the Yeti for $130. If you're trying to decide between these two, I think you have to ask yourself, does the Yeti sound $30 better? Also, keep in mind, FiFine often discounts their microphones, and I've seen the Yeti on sale numerous times. So if you're on a budget, patience is your friend. You also have to factor in the physical size of each microphone, especially if you're going to be mounting it to a boom arm. Once removed from their stands, the size difference becomes much more apparent. Interestingly though, the FiFine mic doesn't weigh that much less. On my scale, it only came out to a 67-gram differential. This is less than 1/6 of a pound. One other difference I have to mention is the LED on each microphone. On the Yeti, you get a nice subdued solid red when the mic is live, and a blinking red when the mic is muted. On the K690, it's a bit different. When the mic is live, you get a blinding green LED in your face and a solid red mic when it's muted. This might sound like something small, but to me, it's a reminder that Blue has been in the microphone game a lot longer. Also, while physically I prefer the overall smaller K690, I found the larger Blue mic to be more ergonomic. To get the best sound quality, you want the microphone positioned in front of your mouth, not a few inches below it. I concede it is a small nitpick. Just remember, if you're not going to be mounting it to a boom arm, that smaller size does come with a trade-off. Anyway guys, that's going to do it for this video. As always, I hope you found it helpful. I want to take a moment to thank FiFine not just for sending this out for review, but also for supporting smaller YouTube channels like mine. I understand that they're a business, and in exchange for giving out their products, they're getting feedback and exposure in return, but I feel like they're one of the few companies that actually wants honest feedback to improve their products. Hopefully that didn't make me sound too much like a shill, but you guys might be surprised at how many companies just want to trade product for glowing 5-star Amazon reviews. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them below. Also, consider subscribing if you'd like to see more content like this. Now that my channel has been monetized, I am going to try and post a video a week. Anyway, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.
Knock me down, knock you get back up.
Max, your team has taken the lead. Victory!